welcome back to Work in Progress with Nicole Engelmann. That's me. And Janette Wong, my guest of the day. This is the second part of the episode or the conversation I'm having with Janette, where we talk more about practical tips about, coaching tools that might help you in your, personal life or even business life. And one of the things we talked about reframing. So Janette, like, how does reframing help you in your business or in your personal life? And how do you do that?
Reframing, for those who don't know what it is, essentially, I'm going to try and break this down really easy in simple forms. Reframing is just we all have a definition of a phrase or a word or a situation or an event. Reframing is essentially looking for different ways to see the same thing. So for example, I'm trying to think of an example like off the top of my head.
Well, if, for example, if someone says, I'm not good enough to do this,
Yes,
or I'm not good enough to show up.
yes, okay. So let's use that. So I'm not good enough to do this, or I'm not good enough to show up. Okay. The power of reframing enables you to actually truly dive into the meaning of that sentence to you. Like, what does it mean actually when you say, I am not good enough? You're not good enough in what area? Is it that you just haven't learned how to use the tech yet? In that case, it's not that you're not good enough, it's that you just haven't learned it yet. Or it might be that actually, you are not good enough in terms of you can do with some public speaking coaching or public speaking skills training. Or it might be that you have already done so much, but you haven't allowed yourself to celebrate or recognize the things that you have done previously because someone has at some point told you you're not good enough. So then it opens you up to, oh, is it that I'm not celebrating myself? Or is it that there's just some things that I need to still learn to improve where I am, where I can go? And that allows us to see other possibilities rather than being stuck in that box and then going down a downward spiral if you're in a downward spiral. And it's as soon as you catch yourself in that downward spiral, it catches on really fast, and then before you know it, you're way down there.
Yeah. So how would you advise when we get that thought, like, I'm not good enough, or this person is doing so much better and they're so much more talented, or whatever it is? Obviously it's often the imposter. How would you advise or suggest when you catch yourself thinking that? Should you just sit in that thought, or should you take a break and take a deep breath and then start the reframing? How does it work? Because I think it's not, I mean, personally for me, it's not a natural thought that comes to me when I'm having that downward spiral, when I'm thinking I'm rubbish. You're not like, okay, I'll take a deep breath now and I think differently about it. If it was that easy, everyone would do it, right? So how would you suggest going about this?
So essentially, whenever we're thinking, you might notice that you're having the same thoughts over and over and over again. So I used to have this thought, it's like, I'm really stupid. Or it might be, and it will come out when you're really angry or when you're like anxious or not really sure. Oh, it must be because I'm stupid. And you'll start noticing this thought. And and that's why awareness is really important. The more you are aware, the more you go, oh, actually, that's a pattern. Patterns are essentially habits in our brains. Our brains have a habit of, whenever this trigger or this emotion happens, equals this, whatever sentence. So my sentence was, oh, I'm stupid, or yours might be like, I'm not good enough. That, in order to go into the reframing, there's actually many different things. So first of all is recognize that you are in that situation and then remove yourself from it. So for example, like you're already, oh, I'm really rubbish and this. Oh, wait, hang on, wait. Is this a downward spiral? Yes, it is. Okay. So pause, breathe, and then remove yourself by saying, not I am stupid, or I am not good enough, or because whatever you put behind I am is your identity. And your brain is always going to want to prove your identity to you. You're correct. Yes, you're right. So in order to do that, it's like I am experiencing the emotion of or the feeling of whatever. Fill in the blank. Anger, anxiety, sadness, feeling stupid, whatever you're feeling. So by saying I am experiencing, it's not outside of you. Once you're one layer removed, then it will become easier because you are no longer engaging in the chemical loop, and those chemicals take 60 to 90 seconds to go through around your body. If you don't engage it, your brain won't produce it anymore, then it just stops.
That's so interesting.
When it stops and you're now removed, you can then go into an exercise. Go, okay, so what actually happened? Is it a pattern? What is the pattern? What was I triggered by? And you can go into a massive analysis about this, right? But to keep it really simple is understand what the trigger is. Then you can do your work about that. And then also change your sentence, change your habit. Because you can't just say, oh, I'm going to stop this habit. It doesn't stop. Habits don't stop. You have to replace them. So what more empowering sentence can you replace that one with? So instead of saying, I'm really stupid, or I must be because I'm stupid, it's like, well, I wonder what I can understand about this. I wonder what I can learn about this. And when you reframe it into curiosity, because sometimes it might not be as easy as I'm really stupid to I'm really intelligent, that maybe the gap is too big. But when you see what other things are possible and you get curious about the possibilities, then your mind's busy searching for new answers rather than affirming your negative one.
I guess the reframing, it should be something that you kind of stand behind or can believe in. Like you said, you can't go from I'm stupid to I'm intelligent because you won't believe it. You might believe it over time, but the opposite wouldn't trigger your brain. It's like, yeah, you're right. Why did I even think I was stupid? Kind of thing, right?
Exactly. So it's you've got to take yourself to a space where you can accept it. And then you progress to from I am stupid to I am intelligent, or I am not enough to I am enough. And there's many steps that you can take in between that. Whatever language you can accept, it's about your words and your association with a specific word, the emotions that gives you. But as long as it's something that's uplifting, even curiosity peaks you up a little bit. You won't be like, oh, I wonder what that means. Like that's really, you're not really feeling it.
I love that voice.
Unless
Oh,
you're like, oh, is it ennui on in Inside Out 2? Yes, unless you're that, you're not really gonna be thinking like that. So engage your curiosity. And I always ask people like, what other possible, so there's a range between this and this. Well, because there's a range, what other possibilities in between that, or either side of it, could it be? It might be that you are really stupid, but it might also be that you're really intelligent. How do you want to see it? That's the power.
would you recommend like journaling on it, or what is your thought on that?
I mean, it really depends on the person. What I've come to find is that a lot of people do find power in journaling, but for some people, having the time to sit down and write for ages, it's like, oh my God. But it might be something that you can just talk yourself through when you're walking to your next meeting, when you're going out for a walk in the park, like when you're going shopping, when you're on a bus. It might just be something that you talk yourself through in your head. Voice notes are great as well. As long as you are allowing yourself to give space and give oxygen to it, whether it be speaking it out. I talk to myself all the time when I'm walking. I'm like, oh, I wonder if this. And people sometimes are like, but I'm like, I'm just in my own world. Talking through it or writing it, giving it the space to come out of you will help you work through it rather than you trying to coop it all inside. It's like, no, it's not happening. The more you try to run away from it and the more you try to suppress something, the bigger the explosion later on.
Yeah. I have those conversations in my head, not out loud, but yeah, it's like conversation going in on here. Because I find sometimes I like journaling, but sometimes I can't put it into words what I'm thinking. So it feels like there's a block.
Mm.
And then obviously then you don't give yourself the space because you're thinking too hard on what do I write down or how do I write it down. Whereas in my head it makes kind of sense even though it's a bit jumbled.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And it's almost and sometimes, and I love that you actually brought that up, is sometimes you're so in your head, you just can't get out of it. You just can't do it. Yesterday I was really stuck on something. I was like, why can't I get to it? And I got to the point where I was so frustrated. I can't. And then I asked a few people for some advice and no one got back to me, of course, you know. And then this morning, so I went to bed with it like, okay, universe, give me the answer, whatever it may be. And I was still thinking about it, kind of half asleep. And then this morning when I woke up, instead of going, right, what's the answer? I was like, okay, I'm just going to get curious. What's going on? And I actually got a massive new download of a new vision, which came to me because I was like, when I was trying to create from this space, it was actually too small. And I think that's where the frustration is, when sometimes we get to the point where we're ready to the next step, but we're not aware of it in our human minds. We can't comprehend it. That's when we get really frustrated and it's really irritating, especially when you're someone who's used to having all the answers. But when you give yourself the space to just allow and sleep on it or come back to it, do something else, cook, clean, whatever, you suddenly go, oh, that's what it is. And that's why we have a lot of times people say, oh, I had the most amazing answer in the shower. Yes.
It's like when you actually I had a little flashback or a memory image in my head when you said "be curious." I don't know if you've ever seen Ted Lasso. It's such a great TV show. But Ted Lasso, there's a scene where like he's constantly being judged on how he seems on the outside. He's a bit naive and stuff like that. And he's because of that he's underestimated. And he has a monologue in one of the episodes where it's like, I realized that this isn't my problem. It's the problem of the other people
Mm.
because they aren't more curious. And I think that just resonates with me. Literally, it's like that's the image. I literally had that scene in my head. And I think that's the same thing for ourselves when we're just too close to something and overthinking stuff and don't give it space, but actually then reframe it and be more curious. Why am I thinking this way? Or what could I spin out of this? Then that's where stuff happens and you get epiphanies, when you washing the dishes or folding the laundry or whatever it is.
Yes, and I love that you brought it. I need to watch this now, now that you've mentioned it. But yeah, you need to send it to me. So the power of this is actually, the reason why we're stuck is because we're trying to solve a problem or trying to get to the next stage with the same level of thinking that we have always had, the same level of assumptions, the same level of expectations, the same everything that we've always put in. So, of course, you're not going to get a different outcome. And only when you allow yourself to get curious, what could it be? Then new possibilities can be created because you've let go of everything that you think you know.
That's beautiful. Um, the other thing that we had a little chat before I started recording, and you had a phrase that we basically decided we have to talk about. So I'm repeating it again, and you can talk about how what your thoughts on this are. But you said clarity and chaos are just a decision away or apart. So the stage is yours.
Thank you. And thank you for bringing this up. Like, honestly, it's a relatively recent realization of mine. So, when we're talking about when we're talking about chaos, let's start with that. We're not just talking about chaos on the outside, we're talking about chaos on the inside. And the chaos comes when we're actually trying to overload our brain and make it make loads of decisions and trying to analyze loads and loads and things, and it just gets overloaded. That's when chaos comes in. Apart from, if your workspace is very messy, then you're like, oh, it's really messy, and you start, and little things pile up onto you. And the reason why little things pile up onto you is because you're actually trying to hold it all in and trying to decide, out of a billion things, which one should I do first, which one is going to be the best one I do first, or what should I analyze in this particular time. There's been studies where there is a capacity to the brain in terms of, I mean, our brains are absolute amazing creations, but the brain has a limit to how much it can process at any given time. And it's like our computers, essentially. So if you think about it, if you keep throwing things into your computer, at some point it's got, whoa, limit reached. And we're trying to do this with our brains, but push it to continuously store information and not ever make any decisions about it. So the
It's
more
like a
you,
hundred open tabs.
yes, exactly. The more you mull over something, the harder that thing gets. Clarity comes when you actually just make a decision.
Hmm.
Because you don't know what you don't know, and you know what you know. Nothing's going to change that. When you decide to action one tab or close one tab, you're giving your brain space to go, oh, okay, now I know where to focus. And now I know what to do. That's clarity. And you will never know the outcome until you know, and you have to do it. And my coach, other coach, Sean Smith, he would say, you're basically asking people, if you don't take action, you're basically asking people to buy your music, use that as an example, to buy your music without you knowing exactly what it's going to be about. You don't know what it's going to sound like. You've not created it, but people need to buy into it already before you create it.
Yeah.
You need to have the absolute certainty it's going to work. Are you ever going to buy someone's music or a movie, like buy a ticket to go and see a movie that you don't even know what's going on?
Probably not. You have to have heard it before or seen a trailer or something.
What happens if it turns out into a horror movie and you hate horror? I don't like horror movies. Right? What happens if then you're like, oh, that was not for me, right? But until you take the actual action or until you make a decision, you will never know the outcome, because there's a billion possibilities, because one action or one decision leads on to different possibilities, which then leads to different possibilities. Everything, there's a pros and cons. Everything leads to a different level of possibility. So until you decide what's it gonna be for you, you're gonna be in chaos. So that's why chaos and clarity are only one decision away.
Love that. To finish this up, obviously the podcast is called Work in Progress. So I was wondering what's a work in progress for you? So is there something you're currently working on in your self-development or to improve your business or kind of streamline something? But also, is there anything work in progress, as in any programs you're running, or any services you're offering at the moment or in the
Yes.
future?
Um, and I love that. Well, I am constantly a work in progress. And I tell this to everyone. Just because I'm a coach doesn't mean I know everything. I'm not going to pretend to. And if I did tell you I knew everything, then you don't believe me. ever. Um, and I think, there is power in allowing ourselves to continuously learn and grow in different directions. So I am always a work in progress. That's the first thing. And then the things in terms of my business and what I'm working on is, there's two things that come to mind. The first one is actually expanding out my community. Like I mentioned, I am a massive community person, and with the closing of my CIC, the JWC, actually, and bringing the community alongside my coaching business. I'm really excited to continue to build this and shape this in a way that actually serves business owners, high achieving women, and to be able to create spaces that are safe for us all to grow continuously in. Like, that's something that is work in progress in terms of I'm just in the baby stages of developing that right now. So I don't really know exactly how it's gonna pan out, but all I just know is that the essence of what I do and the essence of me and the essence of JWC will definitely live on from that perspective, and how it can evolve is then up to possibilities.
And that's always exciting when there's a kind of like a question mark. It's scary, but also exciting because there are so many possibilities, right?
Yes, exactly. And don't get me wrong, I still worry about, like, am I gonna get enough people? Is it gonna How am I gonna grow this thing? Et cetera, et cetera. So, I have those fears as well. But it's just knowing that actually it's always something that will continue to grow. And it's always a very integral part of what I do as a person as well as a business. Then that really helps to anchor in something that's, I know, I certain. Whatever else is, you try this, it doesn't work, pay the next thing. And that's why, and it's really, I remember thinking of a billion different ideas, and then I was in the chaos and I don't know what to do, like, what's gonna, and there's only so much Googling, so much chat GPTing you can do, and you will still be in the same place because you just need to make a decision. And I think it's like I'm in that conceptual phase right now. Whilst I continue with the business networking and the co-working days, there's something that's really exciting that's coming along, maybe in the form of a mastermind, that I'm very excited about. But we'll find out soon. When I find out, I'll let you know.
Is
And
that the retreat you mentioned?
And then also, yes, there is the retreat as well. So in September, I am going to be hosting a retreat with a friend of mine. She's a manifestation coach, and our energies really align well with each other. And so, as part of that, we're going to be bringing the best of both worlds, literally teaching you how to manifest in the best way possible. She's got her own framework that she's designed, which works amazingly. I'm going to be bringing a lot of my mindset and reframing. And actually, I do Reiki as well. So bringing along some Reiki energy to help everyone release what the old self. And we've got an exercise and activity we're really excited about that's going to help you properly embody the new transition and your new self.
Brilliant. That sounds amazing. Is there a date for that yet? Or
Not yet. We're still currently planning things out, but we'll definitely let you know as soon as we know.
yes, definitely. And lastly, how can people find you? I know that your business is actually not called Janette Wong. So, what's your website? How do they find you on social media?
So my business is called Empowering Leap. Um, and by definition, that's what I help people do. I empower them to leap. And if that's helpful to remember, and you can find me on Empower with Janette on YouTube or Instagram, or Janette Wong Coach on LinkedIn, or you can look up on my website, empoweringleap.com.
Brilliant. Okay, and that's where the community stuff will be hosted as well, right?
Yes.
So if people are interested in really fun and like mindful networking with like-minded women and some co-working. So just some, connections that's can be found there as well.
Absolutely.
Brilliant. It was so lovely to have you, Janette. And thank you for, agreeing to take part. I've really loved our conversation. I always love our conversations. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much for hosting me, and thank you for starting this podcast. I think it's so important, like, to really give everyone the reminder that it's okay to be work in progress. We're always going to be, because humans are growth centric. And if you're not work in progress, it means that you stopped growing. So
Couldn't have ended on a better note.
yeah, you can steal that as a tagline. Um, so thank you, honestly, and thank you for hosting me and inviting me to share what I'm really passionate about, and allowing me to be of service to your listeners. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.